At Houston's Arnaldo Richards' Picos restaurant, manager Monica Richards de Osberg says the dinner rush looks a lot differently than it did before.
In the beginning, of course, it was very gut-wrenching, scary, trying. First few months, we were running at about 40 to 50% of what we were doing last year. And then in about May, it jumped up to about 72% of what we were doing last year.
Her father started the restaurant in 1984 after he moved from Mexico. But like many Latino-owned businesses, with COVID, they've taken an unprecedented hit.
There are a lot more people struggling than what the government is projecting are to be struggling. Tons more.
Why do you say that?
Because we see it every day. People losing their jobs, people losing their homes, not knowing where to look next, not knowing how they're going to feed their kids.
COVID has disproportionately affected Black and Latino households. And here in Houston, the nation's fourth largest city with a 45% Latino population, the numbers are staggering. 77% of Latinos reported serious financial problems since the start of the coronavirus outbreak. Which is why, less than 15 miles away, the line for the food bank at this local church has wrapped around the parking lot before they've even opened.
Before the pandemic, how many people were coming?
We were serving about 200 families a week.
And now, since the pandemic?
Now over 300 families on the average per day, Monday through Friday. Yeah.
What are you seeing? What are the ways that COVID has impacted the Latino community uniquely?
Well, we have men that have had jobs for 20, 30 years, or 15, 10 years, had a stable job, provided for their families, and now they're without a job. They're coming here, and they're not lazy, because they're up here early, and so they're just trying to feed their families.
Son trabajadores, they're hard workers.
Trabajan duro, and they're not lazy people. They just, I got to make ends meet, and I think that reverberates in the family and the kids, and goes down the chain.
Serving families who find themselves living in a nightmare.
Do you ever think that you would be in this position? ¿Pensabas en algún momento que estaría en una posición así?
No.
No. ¿Y por qué no?
Nadie se esperaba esto.
Nobody expected this. ¿Cuántas veces cada semana vienes acá? How many times?
No, es la primera vez que vengo, pero vengo porque...
This is your first time you've been here?
Sí.
¿Por qué estás acá hoy? Why are you here today?
Estamos aquí porque lo del COVID-19 nos ha afectado demasiado.
You're here because COVID-19 has really affected you all too much.
Sí, nosotros no tenemos empleo, o sea, no tenemos entradas de dinero,
so we don't have money coming in.
Salida de dinero, tenemos que pagar renta.
But we do have money going out. We have to pay rent. We have bills. We have finances, car bills to pay. And if you could talk to some leader in the government, the president, Congress, what would you say?
Pues yo le diría que por favor ahorita si estamos en esta situación nos ayudara.
I'd ask them to please help us in this situation.
Right now, they work with what they have, something Monica Richards says many Latinos have always had to do.
Do you think you'll make it to the other side of this pandemic intact?
I hope so. I really, really hope so.